Beamer, Benz, a Bentley. Oh no, I stay low in that Nissan Honda Chevy. Nissan Honda Chevy. Nissan Honda Chevy. My stash is never empty.
What's up, guys? Welcome back. A lot of you have been asking me how fast this buggy actually is, and you know what? I'm gonna do just that. I have my dynamite speed meter right here mounted in the front. Towards the middle of this video, we're gonna do actual live time FPV style footage. I'm gonna put my GoPro here on top, and we're gonna get a real live view on how fast this thing actually goes. There's none of this, oh, I'm gonna lower my camera, oh, I'm gonna put this thing in my car, hit 55 in my Prius, and I'm gonna put it back over here. No, we're not gonna do that. Actually going to determine using actual evidence that we could see right in front of us, basically me spending money on these things right here, and then we're gonna see how fast this thing actually is with the stock gearing. Now keep in mind, all these buggies are advertised to do 40 plus it says. Now, interesting enough, this is the 30.5cc version. When you look up the actual top speed specs on the 27 version, on the 36, on the 45, they all say 40 plus. So really, there's really not much information there at all. Now, another avenue you could try is you could Google and see how fast people say the actual HPI Baja goes. No? Well, I did that, and the results were just all over the board. Let me put a couple of the screenshots here from all the responses I found. I mean, a lot of people just, it seems like they're making stuff up. Like, it's either the speed in kilometers, or they're just literally making stuff up. Like, they cannot be that fast. The only actual credible speed I found from an actual resource that I believe, which is a primary source, a radio control car action, is the slightly newer version, HPI Baja SS. Which it says here it has a 2-speed. Now, unless I read the actual specs, you see right over there it says it has a 2-speed, a first gear and a second gear, and it only tops out at 45 miles an hour. And that is not even the 23cc version. That's the later, more powerful version with a tuned pipe. Now, how can that only hit 45 with a 2-speed, a really good motor, a tuned pipe, and yet people claim that the original HPI Baja could do 50 out of the box? There is just no way. I remember when the original HPI Baja first came out, and I think someone at that time had an RC like this. This is my vintage Duratrax Mini Quake, and they were running a small brushless system in here. Actually, this one is brushless too, really fast. And this thing ripped the HPI Baja. I mean, for years after that, I didn't even consider a gas RC at all. They were just extremely slow. I could not believe it. So in this video, what we're gonna do is we're gonna once again test the speed of this one. And for a future upcoming video, I did mention this in my previous video, I did order a speed gearing set. So this is a whole metal gearing set for the pinion and the spur from ROVAN. It's about $30. Very good deal for metal gears. I mean, I've never seen a complete set of metal gears be this cheap. ROVAN got some really good prices on a lot of their optional parts, really nice. This is the 1955. So it is 2 teeth larger on the actual pinion and 2 teeth smaller on the actual spur. Another interesting side test will be to see whether I'll actually get any more speed with this silencer. Now, I personally have been running it with this silencer, but I don't in fact know whether this will create any kind of speed advantage or disadvantage. Another thing is, I found online where people say these things hit like 50 stock, some of them ported, modified, can hit like 80 with OBR motors. Well, I'm not interested in getting an OBR motor. I'm not interested in importing a cheap RC right here. I'm interested in how fast they actually go based on the claim that the company actually makes. And that's what we're gonna test here today. So right now, let's go outside. We're gonna do some speed runs. Then we're gonna come back in here, analyze the data I got, and discuss what we're gonna do in the future.
the Chevy. The diesel never get me in my hoopty, I be swerving. The public so I'm serving, boots phone fab and chirping. I be out there putting work and know them dirty boys lurking. If they nab me, then it's curtain. So when I go see a person, I spin the block, so I'm certain that it's cool. I'm no fool, see Raul is more than reckless, so I meet him when it's busy at that Mika Morgan exit off the PQ. Meaning Mickey D's and occasionally treat myself to a nice little fish and cheese. I'm really in the street, being broke's my enemy. Teacher said I'm dumb, but I caught that and I know chemistry. I make that something hard and meet my homie Pito in the parking lot of Home Depot of Northern Boulevard. I got my route down pat, I'm about my stacks, in my mouth don't chat.
Okay guys, I'm back home now. Let's discuss some of the findings with these speed runs. I got a bad haircut, got a bad shirt, so hopefully I have some good news to deliver for you. And yes, I do have good news. I gotta say, I was able to achieve 38 miles per hour, both with the silencer and without the silencer. Frankly, I'm surprised. Now, the claim was 40 miles per hour. I am running a little bit on the rich side, so this buggy is completely capable of hitting 40. I have no doubt about that at all. One of the things I am looking forward to is seeing how fast it will go with the upgraded speed pinion and speed spur gear set right here. So, you know, as I said before, the HPI Baja with the 2-speed hit 45 miles per hour. But if you look at this chart, once again, it says it took 7.5 seconds to hit its top speed. I mean, that is a lot of time. When I drive this thing, I mean, I honestly feel like within the first 3 to 4 seconds, it's already topped out. So I have no doubt that this larger displacement engine could easily pull these gears. Now, what do I hope to achieve? Based on this chart here, it says I will be getting about a 14% bump in speed. So let's say my baseline is 38 miles per hour. That means I should be in the mid to low 40s. So probably about 43 to 44. Maybe I'll hit 45 if I'm lucky. So that is really good, guys, honestly, to get, you know, in the mid 40s with a buggy like this with basically just a cheap speed pinion and spur gear upgrade. Now, it's always been my understanding that whenever you have an option part that is more than 10% the price of the car, in this case, this is less than 10% the price of the car, that is a good deal. Generally, in the auto industry, whenever they charge you more than 10% for an option, that's how you know you're being ripped off. But I don't think I've seen really any parts that are options for ROVAN that are more than 10%. Now, can't say the same thing about the HPI. Of course, their base price is significantly higher. The thing is, a lot of these gas RCs, believe it or not, are actually much slower than nitro vehicles. You gotta realize that a good motor here will produce maybe 3 to 5 horsepower. Obviously, a pretty well modified motor from a larger displacement type series will produce maybe 8 to 10 horsepower. But you can get a small 3.5cc nitro engine, which would be basically a 0.25 or a 0.28, and it'll produce up to 3.5 horsepower at that too, and at a much higher RPM. You gotta realize the RPM on these things are fairly flat. They really don't go above maybe 18 to 19,000 RPM, and those are like the really good modified racing motors. I probably think that this is maybe gonna top out at 13 to 14, maybe 15,000 RPM, but once again, they're pretty much like a straight kind of level power band, so gearing here is one of the key things to get speed. And obviously the 2-speed would be the best upgrade possible, but I personally like the simplicity of a single speed transmission. There's really no issues with those. With a 2-speed, you're constantly adjusting things, you know, hoping, praying that it works, and the cost to get a 2-speed is substantially greater. I think about 4 times greater than this basic Metal Gear upgrade right here. In case you're wondering why this is here, this is just for moral support. I was just so angry at the results I found. You know, some people did say that the original HPI Baja out of the box was only 29 miles per hour. So I don't know how they got, you know, over 40 from the stock HPI Baja. I mean, maybe they're making things up. Maybe they're assuming this thing has a 2-speed. I mean, this article I found from Radio Control Car Action magazine, other than the small mention in the specs that this thing had a 2-speed, nowhere in the actual information will you find that it's a 2-speed. Now, of course, if I bought it with a single speed, you know, I didn't make that investment. Maybe this kit came with one. I'm not quite sure. If anybody knows, just let me know. You know, I would expect it to do 45, but if I knew it had a single speed factory, then man, I definitely would not have bought one of those, because the most you could expect from that is maybe in the low 30s at best. Oh, thank you for making me feel better, Savage. Thank you so much.